by the appropriate search engine. If it can't be found, there could be different reasons for that. It might not exist as a resource. So, for example, if you want to know about ancient history of a particular area or a particular civilization, and the library doesn't have that book, they'll say we haven't got that book. Likewise, on the internet, on the World Wide Web, you look for something. If it doesn't exist, then they'll say it doesn't exist. Other times, the link might be broken. So when the link is broken, although the device or the server or the information doesn't exist, you've got no way to get to it. It's a little bit like Wolverhampton Station being closed down for repairs, or it's a little bit like the train tracks being temporarily unavailable. When that happens, someone else in the world might be able to reach that end point, but it might just be that you can't. Okay, so resources are really the starting point for people who are new to IT and getting plugged in. So if you are new to IT, your tool for using the internet and the World Wide Web is the web browser and your search engine. Okay, you might remember me saying that in the device that you might be given, you've got to remember that it needs to be useful to you. So if you're like me and your eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, your telephone screen might be too small. So you might want to get what we call a tablet. A tablet is like a telephone, but it's bigger, and a tablet will connect to the internet. Or if you want it even bigger than that, you can get yourself a desktop. So a desktop is a much bigger screen. You'll have a mouse, you'll have a keyboard, and you can type these URLs, you can type these web addresses in, and you can get a nice big screen. And the good thing about modern, what we call web browsers, is that you can make the writing bigger, you can make the window bigger, you can even have parts of the text read out to you. Okay, you can even have 2 or 3 windows open at the same time. This tends to be difficult on a small screen like a telephone, like a mobile phone, possibly even difficult on a tablet. But on a big sized screen you can see things a lot easier. And if you've got people who can help you with very, very whizzy things, and what I'm talking about now is webcasting, if you can connect your mobile phone or small device to your big TV, where you've got screen sizes of many, many inches, you can really see clear things on your screen. So as I say, the possibilities for devices now are a lot more. The possibilities for information technology are a lot more. As I say, I started off by talking about textual information, words on a screen. I talked about videos. I talked about sound, all sorts of information now, because it's digital. It can be used with digital technologies to make your life easier. Okay, so I've tried to explain things. I have probably been vague. I've probably been confusing to some people, but I want to try and keep it as broad as possible. However, I do have another good piece of news for you. One new project we are starting. We are the Secret Angels, which is a volunteer organisation based in Wolverhampton. We have now been given permission by Wolverhampton Council, by the West Midlands Combined Authorities, working with our libraries to attend our libraries, most probably on a Tuesday, for about 2 hours, either in the morning or the afternoon. The details will be confirmed in the next week or two, but for those people who are already familiar with the drop-in at the Central Library on a Thursday, and that drop-in is from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I am going to be dropping in two other libraries. As I say, this is yet to be confirmed. It's highly likely to be confirmed, and that confirmation will most probably be either Penn or Finchfield Library on a Tuesday morning from approximately 10:30 to 12:30, and at the Warstones Library from 2:30 to 4:30. And these are drop-in centres, so you can come in, you can talk to me, I can try and answer some of your questions. You can either use the equipment that we have in the libraries, or you can bring your own equipment. There is free Wi-Fi available. If you bring your own devices, I can show you how to specifically use those devices. If you can't bring your own devices and you come in and use the computers that are already in the library, then you can certainly use that. So that we're hoping to start from the first full week of April. The first full week of April, which is only a couple of weeks to go. So please come along, and we'll see if I can help you with your tough questions. So we're going into a break now, and I'll speak with you in about 6 minutes. Welcome back to our listeners. This is RamadanRadioWolves.com, broadcasting on 87.8 FM. We're halfway through our show called Plugged In IT Skills for Everyone. In the first part of the show, I hope I didn't bore everybody or confuse everybody by talking too much technical stuff about the internet. I've been working with the internet, computer networking, IT, digital technology for a long, long time, but hopefully I've tried to explain things in basics terms and try to do comparisons so that you can say to yourself, well, what is the internet? Oh, yes, it's a bit like the train tracks or the road tracks. What is the World Wide Web? Oh, yes, it's like the trains themselves, etc. So I'll let that sink in. I'm going to come back to that, but I'm going to change subject almost totally now so we can talk about something else that's possibly a bit more exciting. And what I'm going to talk about now is something called teleconferencing. Teleconferencing. This is something that's been around for many, many years, from the days before the internet became big, before the World Wide Web became big. And in simple terms, think of a television. A television is where you can see something that's coming from far away. Tele means far away, and the vision is what you can see from far away. Likewise, before television, we had telephones. So phones is basically phonetics, things that you can hear, and the things that you can hear are far away. Unlike a television, though, where a television is broadcast to a lot of people, and lots of people can see whichever television station that they tune into, but they can't really send any information back. With a telephone, you can send people back, because with a telephone you mainly have what we call a dialogue. A dialogue is two people talking to each other. One person talks, the other person talks back, and then you keep swapping, and then you carry on for your conversation for however long you need to. So that's a telephone, but for quite a while we've had a need to be able to see people as well as talk to them. And that's what's often called a teleconference. So a teleconference is two things really. It's a conversation between more than one person where you can see each other as well as speak to each other, but there can be extra what we call channels or pieces of information, and the simplest one is other people. So what I mean by other people is that if you've got three people, and when I mean three people, to have a teleconference, you do need both a microphone and a camera. And of course we know that today modern mobile phones have a camera. They have a camera at the front, and they have a camera at the back, and they have a microphone. And when you are looking at your telephone and you have the appropriate piece of software, and you have the appropriate connectivity, then you can connect with somebody else far away. And as long as they've got the same sort of software and appropriate hardware and connectivity, they can see you and you can see them, and you can be in conversation. Now, of course, with a camera, there could be somebody sitting next to you. So that's a way of getting more than one person at one end, in fact at both ends of the conversation, should you wish. However, what you can also do is you can have what we call a three-way conversation. So teleconference can be people in three different places, sometimes more than three different places, all communicating with each other. Okay, this is heavily used in the world of business these days because, quite frankly, it's cheaper than travelling for hours and hours and hours to see somebody for a few minutes, for an hour or so, travelling all the way back, when you may as well just have a teleconference. And teleconference images are very, very good these days, or can be very, very good these days. Likewise, sound quality can be very, very good these days. And there is other functionality that you just couldn't do any other way. So, for example, if I was to say to you, oh, could you open the so-and-so shelves and see if you can find the Marmite jar, or see if you can find the so-and-so piece of equipment, and the other person can't find it. So what you can do then is you can say, well, turn your camera around, and when I say turn the camera around, they still have the camera facing the same way, but they use for example, the back camera instead of the front camera, and they point at the cupboard, and you, who's having a conversation with this other person, can actually see what they can see. And they might not realise what the Marmite jar looks like, but you do. So now you can suddenly see exactly where the Marmite jar is. You might need to see if something is broken, and somebody says to you, oh, so and so's broken, I can't fix it. Or somebody says, I don't know where to find this on my computer. Teleconferencing is a great way of seeing what the other person is seeing, or even seeing what lots of other people are seeing, and for you to have an interactive conversation with the other person, and really making a lot more productive use of your time. One other thing that you can do with teleconferencing software is, for example, rather than just a picture of the background, you could actually have a letter somebody's written to you, written by hand, and you can put the camera against that letter, or in fact anything else, and you can show that to the other person. Excuse me. And therefore there are lots of possibilities with teleconferencing software. So what are we really talking about? The most common one that you will hear people talk about is WhatsApp. So you've probably heard of WhatsApp, people talking about WhatsApp. WhatsApp is one example of a piece of teleconferencing software that can be found on a mobile phone. Okay, another common one is FaceTime for people who have Apple hardware. You may also have heard of Zoom, and in the old days we had Skype, and some people will mention the word Teams. Okay, these are all different types of teleconferencing software for people who are new to IT. You may want to keep to the simpler ones, such as WhatsApp or indeed FaceTime. Okay, now I've talked about the software. The names of the software are, for example, WhatsApp or FaceTime or some of the others. The hardware, well, that's your mobile phone. That's the easiest one to use. You can use it with a tablet, but the mobile phone is very, very easy to use. The mobile phone is probably in your house. The mobile phone will be connected to your local Wi-Fi. And if it's connected to your local Wi-Fi, it means that the conference call is most likely going to be free to you, because you've probably got lots and lots of capacity on your home internet usage. So most Wi-Fi is provided by an internet supplier, and you probably have a monthly package. And then in some cases, for people who don't have a monthly package, you can buy internet access through your SIM card. So for example, if you're on EE or Vodafone or O2 or Tesco Mobile, these services, these mobile phone services, can provide you with internet access. It may not always be cheap, but at least if there's an emergency, you can speak with somebody, have a teleconference call with somebody, should you so need. And then if you don't need, then you can just have a normal conversation with them using your normal mobile phone service, and quite often you can get unlimited time on your mobile phone. So you make a quick teleconference call, show the other person what you're trying to show them, end that telephone conferencing call, and then go back to a normal phone. Okay, so I mentioned that there's a lot more you can do with a telephone conference call than you can with a regular telephone call, that you have different pieces of software available. Keep to the easy ones. If you don't know how to use all the most complicated ones, I mentioned to you before the break that we will be hopefully announcing that we'll be in certain libraries around Wolverhampton, most probably on a Tuesday. If you want a bit of experience, if you want to come and see me, bring your device with you, and keep a watch out for our posters for our Secret Angels website, and I can show you how to use your hardware, how to use the software. The good thing about the local libraries is that there is free Wi-Fi access there, so it probably won't even cost you any money, and you can try and make a conference call, and you can try it out for yourself, and you can make a conference call to your own relatives or friends. And as I say, it's something which we can download for you if you've got your mobile phone with you but you don't have the software, and that should be very, very easy for you to use and download. And as I say, if you're still struggling to use that software or to learn how to use it, come along in person, and I can help you as much as I can. So I've talked there for about 10-15 minutes about teleconferencing software. It is, to be honest, one of the most valuable things you'll learn about when it comes to using the internet. It's possibly more valuable to you at the start than browsing the internet. I talked about browsing the internet before. I'm going to go back to talking about the browsing the internet. I mentioned that the internet, the web pages on the internet, the World Wide Web, in other words, each thing that you're looking at, you can think of it as a page. When you go to a location, like for example the BBC building, for example in Birmingham, if you go to a library, if you go to a grocery store, a DIY store, if you go to a restaurant, you'll go into their reception, and that reception is called a home page. Okay, so you'll go to the home page of that website, of that service, and to make your life easier, rather than having to remember the fine details of where all the departments are within a service, what you'll see is what we call web links. Okay, web links. Web links are buttons, and as you move your mouse, or as you move your finger on your mobile device, on your phone, as you touch different things, some of those things are what we call web links. So when I mentioned to you earlier that you might not be interested in the main BBC website, you might be specifically interested in either the results from some sports match, or you might be interested in the weather, or you might just be interested in the latest news. There will be buttons which take you to those departments. So rather than going to the web address and typing in a / and then typing in WEATHER for weather or news or whatever, you can just touch the button on the home page, and that button will automatically take you to the page where that information is. And that page, as I say, is connected to another page, to the home page, and that connection is called a hyperlink. A hyperlink. And the hyperlink is where the word HTTP comes from. HTTP is the hypertext transfer protocol. So to make your lives nice and easy, rather than having to learn the names of all the departments of a particular service, you just press buttons. and almost always the button should work, except if there's a website that hasn't been kept up to date, or if there's a problem with the web links. But pretty much most of the hard work will be done for you. So again, we talked about teleconferencing, about WhatsApp. This is something that could be really useful for you, to stay in contact with your family and your friends. I've talked about the internet, and the internet, as I say, is really the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web is like lots and lots of pages, and these lots and lots of pages are places where there's information. Okay, so there's pages which are pieces of information, there's images, there's the latest news. The good thing about the internet and the World Wide Web is you get very, very, very up-to-date information. Okay, so the problem with newspapers are that the information has probably been collected yesterday. The information has been published on pieces of paper. Those pieces of paper have come to you or gone to your newsagents, and the newsagents has then got to get that piece of paper to your property, either been by delivery or by you collecting it yourself. So again, the internet, the World Wide Web, gives you or can give you very, very up-to-date information, and it can give that information, as I say, rapidly updated by the provider of that information. Okay, so that's information on websites. I've also mentioned that the websites, the pages of websites, can give you video information. So if there's been an earthquake, if there's something visual to see, very, very difficult to see these things on newspapers. You can click on a BBC link to a video, and you can see sometimes almost live information as the information is being presented, and that information is probably available to everybody that is tuned in, logged in to that website. Okay, so that's information, and what I'm going to be talking about next week. So we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. What I'd like you to do, I haven't taken any calls, but if you send any WhatsApp requests to our WhatsApp number, I'm going to give you that number. Our WhatsApp text messaging number is 07440 420 430. I will try and answer more specific questions. I won't, as I say, take any phone calls directly, but if anybody has any questions, the good thing about WhatsApp is it's not only a teleconferencing service, it's a messaging service as well. So to this telephone number which I've just given you, 07440 420 432. It's the WhatsApp number for Ramadan Radio. If you have any specific questions about specific services that you're interested in, I will try and fine-tune my program next week to talk about those subjects. And I know there's lots and lots of subjects people want to talk about. So, for example, how would I order my medicines? Because medicines can now be ordered through your own doctor's website. Your chemist might even have the ability, and this is not with every chemist yet, but your chemist might have the ability to confirm that your medicines are available for you to collect if you are not sure yet. That's if you have to collect your medicines yourself. Likewise, if you want to check whether there are certain types of grocery or certain types of goods available at a particular different branch of some retail store, you might well be able to do that at that location's local website. There are all sorts of things that you can now access online, and it's really just a question of what should I start with, what do I need to know about the most. And once you start getting familiarity with the web, you'll realise that it's fairly painless. It gives you access to so many things, and as I say, unfortunately, you might get hooked. You probably won't, because to start off with, you might just get frustrated because, unfortunately, people do things in different ways, and the way one website presents its information might not be the same as the way another website presents its information. So it's just a question of practicing, trying things out yourself. As I said earlier on, you probably won't break things, but the web pages can give you so many accessibility options these days that you could, for example, have a web page translated into a different language, into a language that you're more familiar with. You can have a web page with bigger writing because your eyesight might not be so easy. You might find that the links, the hyperlinks, can be made a different color. So accessibility, which means making it easier for the user, can really make your life a lot better. And sometimes a picture, if you don't understand a picture and you hover over that picture, you can see words, and those words might make more sense to you than what a particular picture is. So hopefully in the last 3 weeks I've given some basic education, some basic skills, a description of IT technology and about digital information and what you can potentially do with the internet these days, with the World Wide Web these days, and with a huge proliferation of information that's out there. So I'm going to have to end this program now.